This video has probably been one of the hardest things I've ever done on YouTube so far. There's a lot of wrestlers in WWE. I'm not going to count people in NXT just because that would make it even more difficult. My honorable mentions list is more than 10 people because I just couldn't figure it out. The only reason I'm not going to put Undertaker or Triple H on this, Undertaker's retired. Basically, and Triple H only wrestles once, maybe twice a year. My honorable mentions may actually have all your favorite superstars on it, so you can kind of figure out the rest of my top 10. Honorable mentions for Luke Harper, Undertaker, Nakamura, Apollo Crews, Hardy Boys, Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, New Day, Miz, Naomi, Baron Corbin, Neville, Charlotte, Bayley, Bo Dallas. Yeah, I like Bo Dallas. Jinder Mahal and Cedric Alexander. Like 2 days after I put this video up, I'm probably gonna think, oh man, I should have put someone else. I'm gonna sit back and be like, man, I really should have put Mojo Rawley, but this is actually really difficult. Number 10, Chris Jericho. I don't really know if you want to consider him current because he did kind of just leave at Payback, but he also did just come back to face Hideo Itami at a live event. So yeah, he's current. Chris Jericho is one of those guys I can put on my all-time favorite list. I mean, he was the first ever heel that I ever really got behind. In his last run in WWE, he was able to put over the word it, a list, a scarf. No one else can do that. I'm pretty sure Chris Jericho could put over Moppy if he wanted to. Number 9, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's one of the only wrestlers I really used to pay attention to when I watched TNA. It was so unnatural in my eyes to see someone that big doing the things he's doing. And he looks like he could beat anyone up just because he can. He also reminds me of Mark Hunt, the guy that Brock Lesnar faced at UFC. So that makes me really excited for Great Balls of Fire. And overall, how athletic he is, and just, oh my god, he's just so amazing. That was the first time I ever seen a big man move like that, and from now on till the end of time, Samoa Joe, you're my all-time favorite big guy. Number 8, AJ Styles. AJ Styles was the other TNA guy I used to watch a lot. Both had really good characters. I really didn't get behind AJ Styles as a character until he did that angle when he was coming out like all depressed and stuff. That's what really made me pay attention to AJ Styles. I don't know why it was that angle in particular. That really made him stand out in my opinion. And then seeing all the stuff he did in ROH and New Japan is just, he's such a god, man. I would call him phenomenal, but that's just really corny. Look at the matches he puts on. They're so great. Daniel Bryan and CM Punk were my two favorite wrestlers that came in from the independents with a really big name. And ever since then, I mean, we had Seth Rollins, who I like a lot, but there's always been like that lack of like a top independent wrestler that came into WWE and made a big impact. When AJ Styles came, he had the match against Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules and Payback. It opened up my eyes to realize Roman Reigns is actually a pretty good wrestler. And then also I realized AJ Styles can carry anyone that he ever wants to. Number 7, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn in my mind is a replacement of Daniel Bryan. He's literally the most likable human being on planet Earth. When you see him run out on the stage with his music playing and you don't feel excited at all, then something's wrong with you, man. Plus I went to Battleground 2016, which besides the Nakamura takeover match, in my opinion, was his best match in WWE so far. It was such great storytelling with him being an underdog. Sami Zayn, you are such a likable human being. You're great in the ring. He's very good at babyface promos. Honestly, it's just hard to find anything bad to say about Sami Zayn. Number 6, Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks. I was really trying to make sure I put all my favorites on the list. I really couldn't figure out, do I like Alexa Bliss more than Sasha Banks or vice versa? I decided I'd rather just put both of them up there because these two are my favorite women's wrestlers in WWE right now. Sasha Banks just continues to make history. She main evented Raw in the first ever women's gauntlet match, and Alexa Bliss is the first ever woman to win the Raw and SmackDown Live women's championships. If you told me back in like 2015 Alexa Bliss would be doing the things that she's doing right now in WWE, I would have laughed. She came out as a fairy. In the history of WWE, I'd probably rank her up pretty high in the top heel women. And then when you look at Sasha Banks, and she goes through the stories about how she really wanted to be a wrestler her entire life and her struggles to get to WWE, and then being part of Hell in a Cell and WrestleMania, and so many things she's actually accomplished so far in such a short career. And playing the boss character, she has all this confidence and swagger about her that makes her stand out so far from like divas of the past. You two are my favorite women's wrestlers right now. Number 5, Cesaro and Sheamus. At first, I did not think this team was gonna work out at all. I don't think anyone actually did. When McFoley announced they're gonna be doing a best of 7 series, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna suck. Then when you got to Clash of Champions, they had a match that was so good that it was actually upsetting when they forced the match to actually end prematurely. And then leading to them as a tag team, at first they were alright, but it's only been really recent ever since I really started to get behind these guys. Seeing how Sheamus kind of lured Cesaro into being a heel, and Sheamus is bringing so much character out of Cesaro that he was lacking for a long time. And the combination of the wrestling styles, which is Sheamus being like just absolutely brutal, Cesaro being the technical wrestler that can really just do just about anything. He does 619s. Now they are my favorite tag team on Monday Night Raw. Number 4, Kevin Owens. For Kevin Owens, we all know he's great in the ring. And again, he was another big guy. I was like, oh my god, why is he doing this kind of stuff? I didn't know he could do that kind of stuff. This man does moonsaults. Who does that? And in WWE right now, there's a lot of really good talkers on their roster, but I think Kevin Owens is probably the best talker. And of course, you can't forget about his Twitter with his quick comebacks. And same thing goes when he's in the ring or on Talking Smack. No matter how good your point is, Kevin Owens always has a comeback for it that actually makes more sense than what your point actually was. And also going back to that Battleground match, personally, that's my favorite Kevin Owens match in WWE so far. And we obviously can't forget all the stuff he's done on Independence with Mount Rushmore and PWG and all the stuff in Ring of Honor. And when you really look into his gimmick is not even really being a heel. He's a prize fighter. He's just there so he can support his family. But the things he says is what makes him come off as a heel. It's such a good combination of a simple character with like this D-bag heel that's really hard to find a reason not to really like the guy. Even though he's talking so much crap about your favorite wrestler or the fans in general, he hasn't said a single thing yet that didn't make sense. Number 3, the Usos. I think you guys can figure out what my last 3 are gonna be because I talk about them so much. It was only a matter of time until the Usos actually finally turned heel again because they associated themselves so much with Roman Reigns. Them being out there with their family was actually hurting their own careers. People absolutely hated these guys simply for the fact that they're related to Roman Reigns. And along with that, their gimmick was getting pretty stale, especially during a tag team division at the time featured freaking Damien Mizdow. But with the heel turn recently in 2016, coming out with a brand new theme song, now coming out kind of dressed like NWA, especially their promos from earlier this year cutting on American Alpha, as they both took shots at American Alpha actually answering their own questions, which really helped showcase the chemistry between the two because they are twins, almost talking like they're working through the same brain, knowing what each brother's gonna say after the other. Personally, I think their tag team reign is really underrated right now and really should have been showcased a lot better because they're probably gonna drop it to the New Day at Battleground, which makes sense. Hopefully one day they'll actually retain the titles, but in my opinion, the Usos are the best tag team in WWE right now. And also, somebody's gonna comment something about the Revival.
Welcome to Ring of Honor!
Number 2, John Cena. I've said it before, I said it again, John Cena is my all-time favorite wrestler. But this is not an all-time list. Now, of course, Cena doesn't match up in comparison in the ring to like a AJ Styles or a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens. Ever since I was a kid, he was my favorite wrestler of all time. And I guess you could say I just didn't grow out that Cena face. While his wrestling level isn't on comparison like Daniel Bryan, he still has great matches when he faces all these guys. Like Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, or AJ Styles at the Rumble, or Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber, or Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw, or Cesaro on Monday Night Raw. When you put him against the right opponent, he could put on a great match against them. And don't even get me started on the CM Punk match on Raw. And now until the end of time, also because he followed me on Twitter, which is also really cool. And number 1, who do you think is gonna be? I only talk about him about 24/7 on this channel. Rusev, of course. Now he hasn't done anything recently because he's been now injured, but he did just come back during live events. As we're recording this, he hasn't made his return on WWE yet. If he's back on television when you're watching this, I probably freaked out when he returned. It's only been recent since Rusev actually became my favorite wrestler in WWE right now, only because there's so much untapped potential with this guy that he could really be a world champion. The only thing stopping him right now is management. It's rumored when he comes back he's facing Shane McMahon at SummerSlam, which would be alright. I mean, I'm open to that. You know, sounds cool. I'd just rather see him as world champion. Back when he first debuted, he was crushing everyone. He was doing such a good job then. And then as he's kind of phased away from the whole Russian gimmick and really became the Bulgarian Brute, and only more recently we actually regained the United States Championship at Extreme Rules, he started to do a lot more work with the microphone instead of Lana doing all the talking for him, which really showed all the personality this guy actually really does have. He's not just some big monster that needs someone to talk for him because he can't speak. If it comes back to they actually put Lana with Rusev, there's no problem with that. But if they want Rusev to do his thing by himself, he can actually hold himself on a microphone and in the ring. Plus, he's a former powerlifter. I'm a powerlifter. I like powerlifters. And overall, he is handsome AF. But yeah, guys, that's the video we really enjoyed. Tell me down in the comments down below your top 10 favorite wrestlers in WWE right now. This video is simply just opinion. There's no facts behind this. Your favorite might be Randy Orton. Mine isn't. You might like Finn Balor. I'm not that big of a fan. It's all just opinions. So tell me your top 10 favorite wrestlers down below. And make sure to like, comment, share, and always subscribe. And we outie.